Surrender. The commotion at Meadside went on through Christmas and continued for the next 7 days, carriages coming and going in and out of town. Even a place as grand as Mead Mansion could not house all the revelling guests. Every available spare room in town was let and let again. Every extra pound of butter and cream and sugar was summoned, every egg, every bag of flour. Every horse and sleigh were borrowed for the coming and going and for revelling in the snow-covered hills. The pleasure of his Sunday dinner spoiled, Luther Howe again complained. Disturbance of the peace is what it is. A man can't rest in his own house on the Sabbath day. My sentiments exactly, Luther, his sister-in-law Caroline sighed. I wonder what's in that fizzle water anyway. Those people don't seem to need any sleep. Just a couple of winks between milking time and noon is all, smirked her husband Ned. That is the way some city folk live, observed Rebecca with a weary glance at her sons, and she settled into her old oak rocking chair which was kept for her by the fire. Especially artists and musicians and such, Hannah was agreeing, hanging her apron on a hook. Priscilla says, but Luther was fed up with unsteady artists and musicians and such, sliding across to his side of the pond at any hour of the day or night, shouting and carrying on. He was fed up too with Priscilla Brown's silly pretensions, luring his wife to idle fancies. Nonsense, Hannah, he growled, shifting in his chair, pulling it closer to the hearth. They're just people like anybody else, only they don't do anything useful, can't even chop their own wood. Rebecca Howe watched her son, still insisting upon his grief, and again, as she had so often during the past 36 years, she prayed for Luther's heart. A sudden boom from the direction of the pond, followed by a chorus of joyous shrieking, brought Luther to his feet. I'd like to get out my horsewhip, he bellowed, and teach those silly folks some manners. You do better to attend to the beam in your own eye, Luther, Rebecca warned. Fetch me the good book, William. I should like to read. At last, it was time for the grand hurrah, with fireworks and fistfights exploding to welcome in the new year. Nothing but a drunken brawl over there, Luther grumbled, pulling his nosy boys back again from the wall. Nothing but devilment and waste. Soon enough, the revellers were leaving, drooping, quiet, blinking as if the afternoon light were painful, sharp on new-fallen snow. That fizzle water's got some mighty peculiar effects, all right, observed Luther's brother Ned. I guess they've run out of food, thought Caroline, Ned's observant wife. Or drink, was Luther's thought. And then they were gone. But not before Will Howe, risking the journey one last time, saw and heard from behind the wishing well what broke his heart. Hiram Mead, in a terrible rage, and Rosalind O'Doul also. At the end of the walk, the sleigh stood ready, loaded with trunks and leather cases, while on the littered porch Victoria stood in her red velvet cape, a small brown valise at her feet. In and out of the house her parents carried on, hurling dishes, curses, accusations, flinging luggage, clothing, bottles, even food. As Will watched, the front door flew open, and out burst Rosalind O'Doul, sailing across the porch and down the icy steps, steady on her feet. Will watched amazed as Rosalind marched down the path, not noticing him at all. From the porch, Victoria calmly examined the sky. Take it all, Hiram Mead shouted from inside the house, and then appeared in the doorway red-faced and shouting after his wife. Here! He flung something as shiny in her direction. You certainly deserve every cent. Hiram's aim was wide of its mark, and a shower of silver fell instead at William's feet, the coins pelting deep into the snow. Easy come, easy go, Will heard Rosalind remark with a toss of flaming red curls. And now came Hiram in black overcoat. Eyes forward, he pointed to the sleigh, and Victoria obeyed. Invisible in plain sight in the yard at Meadside Farm, a handful of silver dollars at his feet, Will watched them go, Victoria and her father in the sleigh, retrieving Rosalind from the lane, and then streaking down Old Trail Road, the horses whipped into a lather, off to meet the Boston train. Good riddance was the quick consensus of the Bell Falls Ladies' League.